Okay, so that means this will be a regular Zoom, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so do I want to show myself or do I not want to show myself? I think I'm going to go without video.
Great for bandwidth.
Yep. All right, everyone. Welcome back, y'all. It's been so many months. Welcome back to Opinionated Collective Sports Talk. Justin and I are here for season 2, and we plan to bring the knowledge, the funny, the most obscure, and some of last season's jokes probably are going to return tonight. We are set for 90 minutes. We may not need all 90 minutes depending on how things go, but we hope you're all ready to start with some predictions and then unbuckle the weekend that we just watched on television, which was pure, unadulterated mayhems and upsets. So let's get started with last season. Okay. At the end of the season, Justin and I made one big running gag on Ohio State University in Michigan. So I think for the first topic, we're going to start with that one. When we left off after the bowl season, if you remember, the biggest joke was the fact that Ohio State University loses to the mighty Michigan, and then what do they have to do after that game? They basically went wah. They got angry, and then they carried it through the playoffs all the way to beating my team, Notre Dame. Go figure. So that's how they won the national championship. Now, what was really interesting is when we ended up having to witness the new administration, which just came in this year, hold the national championship trophy. And what does our dippy vice president do? He drops it. He can't even hold a trophy properly, and he drops it. What's your thought process on that?
My first thought was, this is really hilarious and fitting, considering he's originally from Ohio himself, I believe. Or
Yes,
it.
I do think he's from your state.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, so you're stuck with him whether you want to admit it or not.
State by birth, not for life.
That is complete facts. So now, over the long off season, the following things happened. We got to see various different spring games and just kind of see what's going on with the playoff caliber teams. Also, we have an idea of what we will now be going into season 2 of what the bowl structure is going to look like, which is going to be the same as last year. Do I believe that the same teams from last year, at least among, the playoff contenders, will those teams like SMU make it back again this year? We don't know that because, as we all know, when you get to the first week of the season, and what's genius about college football, unlike the NFL, is anything can happen on the first week, but the first week doesn't necessarily determine your whole season, unless your name is Florida Was State last year.
And the mantle got passed on to whom? Alabama. So let's talk about that game for a second. So as you all know, Florida State University, after the terrible season last year, actually won against the University of Alabama. And you know what? It's true. Nick Saban can't save them.
The tale of two problems. First and foremost, the NIL had a huge effect on Alabama, especially towards the end. And I believe this is one of the reasons that Nick Saban was basically said last January, you know what? I kind of don't want to stay put now. Bye, I'm retiring.
On to be the analyst. Beautiful.
So I'm going to dump my problem that I caused because I went wah over the NIL and how I didn't like it onto the new coach who had just arrived from the Pac-12. Didn't not only did he not have any time to recruit, he inherited the last players' coaches, knowing that once he finally sort of gets a full season under his belt, he can now at least go out and recruit on a 9-3 season, you would think. Unfortunately, we are dealing with one of the largest, most intolerable fan bases in college football ever.
Sad.
Ever. We are putting up with the most spoiled fans ever in Alabama, who he goes 9-3 last year. Okay,
Sad
you
with the
guys got invited
asterisks.
to a bowl. Please tell us why as a team you deserve the right to be in that playoff last year, Alabama. Please tell us why. You got a reason?
Can we say sad with the asterisks?
Asterix? How about a question? How about an asterisk and a question mark?
With the exclamation point?
Add an exclamation point and a question mark. You went 9-3. You lost to your perennial bitch of the conference, Vanderbilt, who, by the way, got a good quarterback in the transfer portal. You lost to
Vandy.
Georgia, who was, who's got a good Nick Saban protege. And who was the first loss to last year? Remind me, for Alabama.
Oh, was it Northern Illinois?
I don't remember offhand, but what I can't figure out with that
Ah,
fan base is,
I think it's NIU.
please
Yes,
tell me
it
you're entitled
was.
without telling me you're entitled. Please tell me why you guys deserve to go into the playoff last year at 9-3 over SMU.
You got beat by NIU, a MAC school. Go MAC. Wow. Finally, somebody.
Not named Marshall the
Vandy.
Thunder and Turd.
Vandy. And okay, Georgia. Okay, that's a quality loss. We'll give you that. So you got one quality loss. That's it. And you think you're good?
We know you're not good, Alabama. It's just, unfortunately, we don't know who is more insufferable. The stadium fans, the boosters who got the money to be able to put up for this stuff, or the YouTubers.
Oh, those wonderful YouTubers. God bless them.
I love Alabama YouTubers, but still, if I'm going to ask this in a multiple choice question out of Alabama fans, who's the most insufferable of the bunch? Question, it would go like this. A, the boosters. B, the fans in the stadium. C, the YouTubers. Or D, all of the above. What would your answer be?
Me and be all the above. D.
I would actually answer that question the same way, too. First and
Ding,
foremost,
ding, ding.
Alabama, the fact that you just lost and now are already wanting to literally explore firing Callan DeBoer, really?
Oh, they're really exploring that one now after
And I just saw
losing to
this article
FSU.
yesterday that's already exploring the buyout. Why don't you give the man till the end of the season to see what you do instead of attempting to buy him out now? You are not getting Nick Saban back. Nick Saban
Nope.
wants to stay on TV in the studio for many particular reasons, probably because he's also at an age where I don't think I want to put myself and advance my age much further by coaching for y'all. So who are y'all going to be stuck? Who are you all going to get from a young coach? Kirby
Plus,
Smart, he ain't going to
his
leave Georgia.
nope. And besides, Nick Saban, your hands are clean. Why get them dirty?
We're going to be joking on Alabama this year for sure, depending on what they do starting next week, because you
Yeah.
lost this weekend to Florida State.
Seriously, guys. You
Do
have
I
one
start calling
job.
out you Alabama the clown of the season, or is it too early?
There are many clowns this week.
So other things we're going to be exploring this year. So to start things off, now at the University of Texas, we're no longer looking at Quinn Ewers, who's their starting quarterback. In your and my short lifetime, we can now say we watched three different people by the name of Manning play. Were you old enough to remember Peyton Manning at Tennessee?
Yeah. Yeah, I was.
Same here. How about Eli Manning, who's exactly around our age, but he's closer in you to age?
Yeah. Yeah, I've probably seen him play
Both
before.
terrific NFL quarterbacks. However,
Yeah.
one bad weekend to Ohio Soft State University. And
And
look
they
what
didn't play that well. Ohio State
and
didn't
look
play
what
that well.
happens. Arch Manning 0, Internet 1. Internet
Man,
savage.
absolute savage. And I want to say something about this game. And to put it all into context for everybody, neither team really played like super duper great. Um, both teams had issues. And surprisingly, I will give Arch Manning credit for hanging in there. It's Ohio State University, first time ever, and just plain and simple. I mean, this is the first week. Give the poor kid a break. You know, he's probably hyped up since the end of time. Come on, guys.
They were
And
hyping him since fucking January. Listen,
it's
he's a Manning.
crazy.
We get it.
We
He's
get it,
Eli
yeah.
and he's Cooper's son. Cooper was the receiver Manning. Cooper was good in high school, but didn't get to have a college career because of some freak injury. He has two famous uncles who both got to play in the NFL, uh, overlapping for a decade, and then Eli had 4 years by himself towards the end of his career, and Eli kind of falling apart back then was more on the organization. But even in my short life, I can say I watched three different players with the name of Manning.
Yeah. And actually I will say something about Arch. Arch's mother was a volleyball girl. So
And then the other
let's
thing, the
get that let's
reason
think about it. Think about it this way. You know, Arch Manning arguably probably had the best stats. I mean, if you ever watch volleyball at all in any capacity, you know how crazy those volleyball ladies really
oh,
are.
absolutely.
Their footwork is amazing. And ability to gauge and judge and all that. So you combine that with football with football and the fact he has football talent, obviously. That's gonna be a
Well, of
great
course, he attends the
combination.
Manning Passing Academy, which his two uncles, personally run that. He's been mentored
Right,
by his uncles. He has a
exactly.
famous grandfather who played for the Saints. So there's a ton of
Right.
football acumen with him. I thought
Tons of
he
football.
played very well for your first game. The
Yeah,
fir- the whole thing was he's playing against Ohio State's defense, which is now being coordinated by a former Bill Belichick assistant, who we will eventually get into during this episode.
Oh
Matt
yes.
Patricia, who now works with Ryan Wade.
Oh
Oh yeah, the
yes.
Ryan
Day.
Wade joke is coming back. But
Oh,
I will
day.
say
Can
this.
you say Sunday as in someday?
Facts. I will say this. Despite both teams, in my honest opinion, both teams broke in a new quarterback. Both
hmm
teams both teams returned a chunk or a potload of their defense. One team actually is breaking in 5 new linemen. The other team, I think, had 2 to 3 returning linemen and a bunch of different skill positions. Both teams had to run to the transfer portal as
Yep.
well. Right. Unfortunately, my problem with Ohio State is sometimes I feel they really relies more on the transfer portal versus developing players.
I think that's the case. I mean, it's pretty like let's
I mean, this is
take for a minute
literally what
Jeremiah
Norville
Smith.
does at FSU. He goes wild and
Yeah.
runs to the transfer portal.
Yes.
Dion
Now
does the
let's talk
same
about
thing.
this. Yeah, yeah, does that too. Let's talk about Ohio State for a second. Jeremiah Smith. Everybody thought he was gonna just bust out at this game versus Texas. He barely did anything.
No, he did not.
He did like almost nothing. In fact, how many drop passes has he done? He had at least 2 or 3 drop passes, and they were like
He
easy
dropped two
ones.
huge ones that could have been
Huge
converted.
ones converted, and we're gaining up on Arch. Man, I'll be honest with you. If it weren't for those 2 penalties, that gave Ohio State a touchdown eventually, we the game would have been overtime. It would have been
Oh,
in overtime.
absolutely.
So I don't want to say any. I don't want to say that Ohio State did well because, quite frankly, they were both equal. It was a matter of who had the better defense at that time.
That was definitely more of a defensive game because
Absolutely a defensive
both
game.
teams are breaking in brand new quarterbacks.
Yep.
The thing that I like for Arch, this was a story that was talked about a little more during the offseason, and it was talked about by Cam Newton, who now is recently on First Take with Stephen A. Smith. One thing Cam mentioned is the selection of Texas was about Arch developing for the Arch developing as a man, but Arch also developing as a football player. We're going to talk about this as well with the NIL, but the
hmm
biggest the thing for Arch is Arch doesn't have to basically complain and then go to the transfer portal the way these other quarterbacks in his generation are doing that, because
Right.
everyone who doesn't get playing time at the original university that they're promised literally cries, throws their name in the transfer portal, and then
Yep.
wants to just transfer for the money. Arch is
Yep.
in Arch isn't in a position where he has to worry about the money because the Mannings are football royalty. So they all
Right.
have money in that family.
They have
And
right.
he's getting
So
paid very handsomely with NIL. I will say that
right.
much.
Yes.
So
So
Arch
Manning doesn't
doesn't
have to worry.
necessarily have to be in a rush to in my in and even this is disgusting to me. We already have every fucking NFL draft analyst saying the kid's going to leave after this year. No, he's
No,
not.
he's not. He's gonna be just fine.
He's
Texas is
going to
gonna
stay probably for the next for at least minimum 3 years. So he can, if he wants to go to the NFL, he can, but he doesn't necessarily need
he
to.
doesn't need to. Because
He doesn't need to. Quinn Ewers, could have even made more money transferring to another school, but he opted to get drafted and got selected in the 7th round.
hmm
And,
well, that's right.
as much as I like NFL football, the reason I'm more passionate and I enjoy college football, and I always have when I was asked this exact question, why don't you really seem to like the NFL? I'm like, the NFL is too fucking predictable. That's the first problem.
That's true.
The NFL is too predictable. And even if you just look at a story I saw over the weekend with the Dallas Cowboys, Jerry Jones doesn't want to pay his best defensive player and basically trades him to the Packers for 2 first rounders and a 30-year-old nose tackle.
Okay.
So he gives away the best defensive player on a really expensive, pricey ass contract in the final year because he decided to go, well, I'm Jerry Jones. You will play for less money. And the said player was like, Micah Parsons, nah, fuck you, pay me.
Sounds like a typical contractor
This
employee
is the shit that
disputes.
actually makes the NFL intolerable, and why most of us, I think, even you and I, start to favor college.
Oh yeah, college is
The
just.
NFL is nothing personal, and I understand based on the TV contracts, but we know the fucking Kansas City Chiefs are gonna be in the playoffs at the end of the year, and I'm gonna have to watch Patrick Mahomes.
Sure.
Like literally, you know what? Fuck that. I'm just gonna go watch college because on one predictable weekend, I can see a variety of upsets happening.
Oh, there were a lot this week. So
Yep.
let's talk about Tech in Colorado.
Oh, screw you. I wanted Colorado to win that game.
Oh man, that was a so Georgia Tech.
And this was a
Coach
nightmare.
Key, Coach Key, I'm starting to like that guy. But more importantly, it seems like Tech is actually going has a way of winning. Like, let's think about this. You don't give up the ball 3 freaking times and still win.
Oh, of course. I mean, Colorado is also breaking in a new quarterback this year for the first time. I will say one
Yeah.
thing that looks good about Colorado. That coaching staff that Prime put together,
Oh
which
yeah,
is
that's
all
legend.
NFL
That's good.
players that we also
That's good.
personally watched, is quite impressive.
Oh,
Warren
it's good.
Sapp from when we were kids, Marshall Faulk, Hall of Fame
Good
running
stuff.
back.
Good stuff.
Let's see. They And this is quite interesting because a lot of the people that we watched when we were younger, from college to the NFL to even the 2000s, are all starting to break into coaching now. You have Mike Vick, who's in
Yep.
the Mike Vick in the HBCU, which I
Oh
thought
yes.
is something worthy. But
Yep.
it this is actually a topic that I think we can have a little bit of fun with.
Hmm.
This is the first year that I noticed a great big trend. For one, being as my original major was business administration and sports management, you know what's really fun to watch? The fact that now colleges are actually hiring NFL general managers to manage the nil money. Did you ever think you would see that?
uh, truth is stranger than fiction, friend.
I never thought I would see the day where we had a bleed of NFL, you know, people that we grew up with coming back into college. So, for example, I never
Why
thought I would see the
not?
day Bill Belichick, after 33 years in the NFL, ends up in college, but I know why he ended up in college. You know why?
Why?
He burned every single bridge in the NFL with every single owner by talking shit about them behind their backs.
Oh, no wonder.
Yep.
Yay. Well,
And his last chance would have been to work with potentially Dallas's owner, Jerry Jones. Unfortunately, Dallas's owner, Jerry Jones, has an ego, and Jerry Jones worked with Bill Parcells previously back in the 2000s. He will never give up control of his team. So Bill, unfortunately, was out of chances in the NFL, as nobody would hire him at the age of, at slightly a little over 70. So he ends up in college with Mike Lombardi, one of his former general managers, and gets to
funny.
do a collaboration where he can pull together an entire coaching staff, including both of his sons, for eventual transition to let the two sons of his, Brian and Steven, probably take over as head coaching coordinator, because unfortunately Bill is 72. I don't know if I see him making
Yeah.
it up to 10 years in football at this age in college.
Nah. No.
And Bill's biggest knock was He had two generations that he could work with sufficiently, but I think a lot of people are having trouble with Gen Z when it comes to football nowadays.
Yeah, they play a different game. They have different
Well, it's not even that
expectations.
they just play a different game. I'm talking about from the aspect that, unlike their millennial counterparts, Gen Z is literally just all about the money in football, the money and
Yeah,
the status of
it's the
football, not the
it's the
playing of football.
expectations. It's the expectation. Yeah, that's what it is.
What and
No.
not even just the expectations. I'll give you a fun example that you might like on this. I listened to an interview from I think it was it Ben Roethlisberger? It was Ben.
Oh,
It,
that
it was
guy.
huh?
Oh yeah, that guy.
Well, anyway, the criticisms from especially us older millennials is as we started going further down in the generation of quarterbacks in the millennials really started with Ben Roethlisberger. He was very durable to be able to play up until
Yes.
2021. But
Yeah.
after him and Rodgers, how many quarterbacks in starting at after 1985 do you think you can name who had long careers?
Great question.
Because there's only one quarterback who has effectively survived in the millennials generation born in 1985. And who was that?
Mm.
Joe
Ah,
Flacco.
yeah, that guy.
Flacco is still somehow playing nowadays, and God bless him and Rodgers for being able to go this long because now they're ancient in the NFL.
Well, it
Even
happens.
Matthew Stafford, who was in the
Well,
2009 draft, and I'm sure you remember since you're a Tech
yeah.
fan, he was at Georgia.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I don't
So
think I
we
was.
touched we touched a
I don't
little
think I was
on
a
the
tech fan back
NIL.
then.
There was a video that you showed me that I think was definitely worth bringing up. How do you think from when we were kids in the 2000s to now, recruiting and boosters have changed the game?
Yeah, about that. Um, of course, you already had the power schools. They always had their boosters. No big deal. Nothing changes for them. But for the smaller schools and the less fortunate schools, yeah, nil has changed the game, and that's
That
definitely that
that I can
even that leveled the
100%
playing field.
that I can 100% agree with. That
That leveled the
that
playing field.
nil leveled the playing field, especially when you had Dion, who was over at Jackson State, was able
Yep.
to poach the number one recruit in Travis Hunter.
Oh yeah. Yep. And then brought him to Colorado. Absolutely. And the difference is night and day. Teams that used to be garbage have a fighting chance now. And I
And
think that's
this is probably a large contributed reason why Saban wanted to leave because he was starting to get angry at all of this.
oh, I don't blame him because all of a sudden it's like, wait, Van, wait, a team like Vanderbilt can beat us? Yes. Um, someone like Northern Illinois can beat us? Yes. In fact, they did in the future.
Well, Saban also got mad because let's be honest, he I think his university started running out of money to be able to poach to keep the good players. They kept cooing and going elsewhere.
Yeah, not too.
That contributed his age getting up there, and I think it's at a certain point you want the coach to be able to understand the next generation of football players coming in. And if you
Hmm.
start to look at a lot of the major universities, there's one lone exception because we're going to go over this very shortly. But Pete Carroll, who's been in the NFL, is probably that one coach, despite the fact that he's in the same group as Saban and Belichick, who can relate to Gen Z. But that was also because Pete Carroll ran a powerhouse. He ran a powerhouse winner at USC for 9 years. Now,
Hmm.
we both remember the Bush scandal. Do you think that
Oh
was more
yes.
Reggie Bush and his family's doing, or do you think Carroll played a hand in that?
I mean, I can't judge either way
I
because
can't either. It was
you know,
surprising to come across an
it's
interview.
surprising,
It
but
was surprising to come across an interview with Vince Young where Vince Young said Reggie Bush deserved the Heisman that year in 2005. But where
yeah,
Vince came from was because Texas won the national championship game.
yeah,
So for Vince to say Reggie deserved it basically meant that Vince was satisfied enough because they got back at USC, ended USC's up to 50 game winning streak at
yep,
exactly the right time, and he won the Natty.
right,
So
yep,
for him, it was just like, yeah, you guys screwed up by taking Reggie's Heisman away. That was just the NCAA being pricks.
pretty much, yep,
I mean, we'll touch on Sharon more, but this is where the NCAA loses people and gets really political because, in my view, the Bush
yeah,
scandal, they went way too extreme with USC on all of that.
yeah, they did,
And I think they knew they had to do something because otherwise the government was going to get involved.
yeah, it is what it is. That's how it is. It
Yep.
is.
So now that I
So
mentioned
yeah,
it, how do you feel about Sharon Moore's 3 game in self-imposed suspension?
you know what? This whole scandal is bullshit. I'm just
And
gonna
what's
flat out
funny
say it.
is you have a
And
63-year-old coach now who's back in the NFL, who's probably going to stay in the NFL. And probably by the time he reaches his 70s, I don't think he's going to come back to
he's
college.
not coming back. I mean, Humbug's
Harbaugh's
not gonna
either going
come
to
back.
stay in the NFL or he's going to and try to become an executive or he's going to retire.
Exactly. Like he's untouchable at this point. Sharon Moore, I don't understand why. I mean, why is he being punished again? Like, what the heck did this guy really do?
Because he's black.
Who knows? That could be it. We don't know. But you know what? I will say this: Michigan's doing the right thing. They're saying, you know what, 2 games suspension in 2025. They're choosing plus one in 2026. Great. And they have a little bit of a 2 year show cause. Bullshit, but you know what? Hey, it's not going to hurt Michigan all that much. Yes, the money's going to sting a bit that they're going to lose because they lose out on the postseason revenue. But, you know, at the end of the day, Michigan's fine. And like I said, they got Bryce Underwood. He has it, you know. So it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun
I
time
really
we're
want to
Wolverine.
see this year 0-5 Michigan.
Yes.
That's good.
So yeah.
That game we're gonna go so savage.
Man, I can see it now. OS who just Ohio State's just gone bonkers.
They
It's
do.
all
I doubt they're going to prepare for the game against Michigan this year again.
they. I don't even know what they can really do because and it's the saddest part about it is that they have the roster, they got that coach, and they have it, but they're just too emotionally charged up.
Oh yeah,
They're just too emotional about it, and Ohio State's always been like this with Michigan in every single sport. Um, so like I don't, and here's the funny part: even if Michigan were to lose that game, that they're not gonna bitch about it. They're like, well, we lost. Okay, we'll get you next year. And Ohio
and that's how
State's,
it should be.
and that's how it should be. But Ohio State's just all about in your face, like, yeah, yeah, until they lose, and then it's like, well, flag planting, well, this, well,
See, that's the
and
problem.
here's the thing that's
The
crazy.
fans and the players lose me at crying.
You know what's even crazier? Ohio State has a thing where every time they win against Michigan, they get golden pants. They get issued some golden pants. And so here's the thing that's funny. you have a whole class of people who are players who never got their golden pants.
Yep.
And they're like, that's like the biggest thing in the world. Like, I didn't get my golden pants like the other guys did. Well, because you suck.
Exactly.
You
Now, we're
didn't
going to talk
win.
about two videos that you recently had me review, which gave me a buttload of material. And guess which ones they were? The why Florida no longer has the best program.
Oh yeah, the state of Florida doesn't have best programs. Yeah,
Same with California. In the 2000s,
yeah. Well,
both in the 2000s when Pete Carroll was at USC and Florida was sort of from the 80s to the 2000 to like the mid 2000s was one of the best fertile grounds for recruiting. You could get the
mhm.
best players in Florida to commit to any school in Florida. Most of them
Yeah.
were either choosing the University of Miami, especially when we were growing up, was the Thug
Yeah.
U days. By the way, fuck you guys for beating Notre Dame this weekend. I had to fucking
Miami,
say it.
go
I had to fucking
Canes.
say it. You
Go
guys outplayed
Canes.
us,
Go
okay?
Canes. No to
You
shame.
guys, you
No to
convicts,
shame.
fucking outplayed us.
Yes, we beat Notre Shame. Notre
It's
Shame.
okay. It's the first game of the year. If Notre Dame, at least now, like last year, loses early but then goes on to win, it'll be good for their head coach, who's actually a fantastic head coach.
Oh yes, I will say that. Notre
They
Dame's head coach is great.
Oh, he
Greg
is.
play
Even though
calling.
his defensive coordinator Al Golden left for
Great.
the NFL and he got a little bit of a better he had to break in a new defensive coordinator. I will
Hmm.
still say that uh Marcus Freeman is actually a fantastic fucking coach, even though he
Yes,
went
he
to Ohio
is.
Soft State University.
Yeah, he is actually. I'm not gonna lie about that. Yeah, that was also a good game. That was a good game.
Now, back to the at hand. Florida at one point produced for at least 1980s, 1990s, and 2000s produced so much of the best in-state talent. All these players, including people like Deion Sanders, were able to, where you had a statistic of 1 out of 4 kids were able to stay home. So during
Yeah.
that time, you had big players who like Ed Reed, Ray Lewis, to name a few. I don't know if Warren Sapp was from the state of Florida, but he went to the U. You had players like that, along with Willis McGahee, Santana Moss, Sonoris Moss, just to name some, even Devin Hester. Players like this were committing in droves to schools like Miami. Then you had good players who were, then after Miami, some were breathing into the University of Florida. University of Florida under Urban Meyer could recruit
Yeah.
some of the better in-state talents. I mean,
Even
remember
State got a piece.
they what?
Even State got a piece.
Oh yeah, FSU definitely got a piece of the local kids. Jameis
Yeah.
Winston to
Hmm.
remember, but no, Jameis Winston was from Alabama. My mistake. But anyway, now it seems in the 2010s, for whatever reason, Florida, just like California, can no longer produce the best talented players, or
Nor
not that
keep
they
them.
can't produce the players, they're not committing in state
They
anymore.
can't keep them. They
Do you
cannot
think
keep
this
them.
was because of nil, or do you think this was because more that the in-state programs in Florida and California basically got completely fucking arrogant and stopped investing in their facilities as well as the programs?
I think it's both.
My understanding of that video is, firstly, the biggest problem probably was really arrogance at first,
The
but
facilities, yeah.
I do know that if you are not constantly updating your facilities, when I watched a really particularly funny video on Eli Manning and Ed Orgeron when even though Eli went to Ole Miss because of his dad, they did a joke where Orgeron tried to recruit him all over again to LSU, and Orgeron was one of the best salesmen for any school that he was at because he could recruit
Mm-hmm.
and he could poach the best talent even from Louisiana. Even he said with LSU has had to spend a lot of money to invest in making sure those facilities are updated.
Yep,
So
that's
my
right.
problem is, especially as a business major, which is this is exactly why many businesses fail, because you want to know why you're not getting the best talent? Look at football. If you do not
Yep,
upgrade your facilities or you invest in the players and the program, nobody's going to fucking come to you or nobody's going to want to work for you.
that's right.
And then you can't go
Because
wah on national television. Wah, why can't we produce? Why can't we get the best in-state people? Why can't we get the best qualified talent? Are you making an
God,
investment in your
are
business?
right? Are you making the investment? You need to invest in your facilities. You gotta invest in your personnel. You gotta invest in the players. You gotta invest in recruiting those players. You gotta invest in making the stadium hospitable, making it a good place for fans to wanna hang out. You know, is there
Well, this was one of my recent
equipment,
turnoffs with the
everything?
NFL. Speaking of the stadiums, stadiums should not have to be funded by state taxpayers.
Oh well, that's a whole nother issue.
That is a whole nother issue, but that's one of the things that I think college administrations are attempting to try to do also. They're trying to probably convince whatever state they're in to have the state pay for it through public subsidies. But if you have the boosters should be responsible for doing that with you.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and look at Oregon State. They just redid their stadium through what? The Roosters. They
That's what
updated
you're
their stadiums
supposed
there.
to do. The boosters
Yes.
should be paying for it, not the taxpayer.
Nope, not the taxpayer. But hey, we digress, right?
We digress, or we say one thing but people will disagree with our opinion on this. But if you want to run a successful, not only do you and I both want to run successful businesses, but we understand that this is a baby and this has to be invested in. So
Mm-hmm.
if you're running a college football program and you decide to be cheap like you're a Fortune 500 company, don't be surprised when in-state people are like, nah, I'm going to USC.
Yeah, I'm gonna go where the weather's nice, the women are beautiful, the facilities are great, and and the dorms look nice and the education's decent, you know, all
Well,
those
if you were
things.
if you were these kids' age all over again, let's face it, you're going to want to go to somewhere where you can
Oh,
get the best computer science education possible.
oh yeah. I mean, whatever your
If
major
I
is, you
were
want to
in
go
these
to the
kids' shoes
best.
and I was a talented athlete, this is what I would be looking at. If I
Hmm.
can't get into a top business school, what business school and university could I get into and play where I'm going to actually have a chance to
The
at,
best one you can get into
exactly.
is your answer. And if you can't get into the top, you go one down or even two down. But wherever tier it is, wherever the tier that you are gonna be at, you're gonna go for the best one within that tier, right?
Yeah,
There you
unfortunately,
go.
with the top universities, it doesn't always work that way because,
No.
unfortunately, I think one big turnoff is also players are probably aware that some of their big name coaches are getting paid murderously large contracts.
Oh well, that happens. I mean, this is football capitalism at its finest, after all.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And what
So,
about that Super League rumored to be?
so now we're going to get to our playoff predictions since we
Sure.
have about I know I scheduled 90 minutes, but I think we can keep it to 60, which is probably what you'd prefer, right?
I don't care.
I don't care either, but I think we've gotten to a good amount of the topics that I had in mind that we wanted to discuss tonight.
Yeah.
So I showed you a video on, you know, I forgot the guy's name on CBS, but he did a huge prediction on how he thought the playoffs were going to play out this year. So his prediction for who's going to win their conferences and get into the playoff went as follows. He predicted, and this was on CBS, Texas A&M would play Ole Miss, and this is in the first round. Tulane is going to play Georgia Tech, Clemson, Oregon, and Notre Dame. That's the round one.
Wait, it's not an odd number.
Hold on. Texas A&M versus Ole Miss. Tulane versus Georgia Tech. Tulane versus Georgia Tech. Clemson, or there was one other team in there. I think I might have typed this down wrong. But basically, PSU.
Oh, Penn State, yeah. Oh,
So basically,
that'd be like a rematch versus Notre Dame, you said?
So basically, it's Texas A&M, Ole Miss, Tulane, Georgia Tech, Clemson, Oregon, Notre Dame, Penn State would be the first round. The teams that advance from that round would be Ole Miss versus PSU, Georgia Tech versus OSU, Clemson versus Texas. Oh, Texas was also in this.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
The
okay.
round 3, which would be the last 4, would come out to Penn State versus Oregon State, Clemson versus Alabama. Oh, yeah, Alabama was also in this. I definitely didn't write the whole thing.
I mean, Oregon State? I mean, Oregon, right?
No, Ohio State.
Okay, whatever. Okay.
And then the finals would be OSU versus Bama. And he picked Ryan Waday's team to win.
Well, you can dream for a nightmare.
Personally, I thought it was surprising to actually have Ole Miss actually make it for the first time. And I think that would be actually interesting because they have come very close the last 3 years. That's for sure.
They have. Mm-hmm.
Georgia Tech was definitely deserving to come in along with Clemson. I definitely see Oregon, qualifying out of their conference, which is the Big Ten, just because it's Oregon and they literally ran the table last year in their first year, whereas USC basically looks like a big pile of poopy.
So the SEC representative would be Bama?
He was basically picking Bama over Texas.
Interesting.
Despite the fact that Texas last year in their first year actually had the best record.
Interesting.
And you know what was really surprising? Texas went 11-1 last year after coming out of the Big 12.
That's true.
I was surprised because I predicted last year, I think you remember this, I think you remember me saying I see Texas with at least two or three losses.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know exactly what hit right for them last year, or if it's because they were the new team in town. But unfortunately now, this year, I think I can repredict again. I see Texas with at least 2 to 3 losses this year, since everyone knows them now.
Fair enough. And we already have notched up lost 1, so.
Well, losing week 1, Texas can definitely go on a win streak, and I'm not saying that's impossible because right now we're not doing SEC play. But once we get to SEC play, I do see Texas with a loss or 2 somewhere in there. I'm not going to say who because I have to relook at the schedule, but I definitely think you would fully agree with me that year 2 in the SEC, especially the Western Division.
I will partially agree with you. There'll be at least one other loss in there. Somewhere.
We just don't know who.
We don't know what.
I mean, I would love it if it was Vanderbilt.
Please don't. I don't think that'll happen. Only because, I think that stunner with Bama, I think that woke everyone up. So,
Alabama, honestly, and what's interesting, I like
oh, South
knowledgeable.
Carolina. Let's
I
talk
think
about them.
they need to give him an extra leash, but they're not going to be patient because Nick Saban, Nick Saban.
It's like they have another dude. It's like the main guy dumped them, and now they're with this beta guy, and they're pining off of the main guy who doesn't want them. Jeez, what is this? Are y'all like women? Like, come
I
on.
think the big problem with Alabama is as follows. They don't have a registered professional team.
No,
So,
that's gone.
sadly, in that state, the closest thing to a professional football team is when is Roll Tide War Eagle,
Yeah,
the Iron Bowl at the end of the season, which is
yeah,
Alabama Auburn is their huge in-state game. Without a
yeah,
registered pro team, you're getting way too serious and only looking forward to a state that literally no one has anything going on other than college football.
pretty much.
And don't get me
Pretty
wrong, I'm
much.
sure the South is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful place to live. There's nothing going
Yeah,
on down there,
there,
which is why they have,
yeah.
the big,
That's
huge
why they have
football
college. You're
players.
right. You're
Huh?
right. You're right. There's not really much down there. Heck, let's talk about the Carolinas for a bit. So let's recap. Clemson, they lost, right? They lost to LSU. What the hell? South Carolina, they won. Wow, they won against Virginia Tech. Wow, what a concept.
University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill.
That's North Carolina. We're staying out of that one.
I know, but
Let's.
you live in the
I'm not done yet.
Carolinas.
There's one more. There's one more. So I live right nearby a university, believe it or not. And guess what the name is called? Coastal Carolina. Yeah, Sunbelt. Go Chanticleers. Just throwing it out there, even though they're not that great.
I have
Um.
one last topic we're going to do after this, and that's college game day. But let's focus on
Yes.
this. So, what about
Continue on.
Coastal Carolina and where
Coastal
you live?
Carolina. Yeah. So Coastal Carolina is not very good. But
What
at
about
the
the
same,
University of South Carolina?
well, they're good. Well, they did the job. They won at least. Um, and actually now they did good. They did a good job. But back to Coastal Carolina. It's kind of like I don't know. It's weird. It's weird seeing three different conferences. You got the SEC, ACC, and Sun Belt wrapped up in one weekend. But
Well, of
now,
course, because your least favorite team in the Sun Belt is the Thundering Herd.
oh yeah, those people. So oh yeah, so they got beat. I'm glad. That made me happy actually.
Yeah, I know
And
you.
and
I don't think
and
I've ever
Michigan's
met anyone
Michigan
who
wins.
hate in the 9 years or 10 years in the 10 years that I've known you. I don't think or 9 years that I've known you. I don't think I've ever met anyone who hates Marshall as much as you do.
Oh, I have personal history with those MFers.
Oh, I don't blame you because
I have personal history.
you were in the band
Oh
and the
yes, and
stadium got nasty.
oh they threw ice balls at me. Shit.
For what reason?
Because they're just emotional. They're nasty little shits. And as I was going out of the stadium, we didn't even march out because they know how bad it is over there. One of some some fans said to me, "Losers," and I'm like, yeah, yeah, whatever. And besides, their quarterback is a loser. Was it
They
Byron
could that
Leftwich?
school, one thing I will say
Man,
since watching as a kid, they could
Byron
never get they haven't
Leftwich.
had good quarterbacks since Byron Leftwich and Chad
Yes,
Penney.
and you know what? Byron Leftwich is the biggest baby in the world.
We
My
know,
gosh,
but now he's
he.
on Dion's staff.
But really, Byron?
Yeah, Byron's on
No.
Dion's staff. He's the offensive coordinator.
Well, shit. Well,
Dion got an
you
all-star
can.
staff. You know,
I
which shows Dion's
I
brand.
can I can I can like the staff and hate the dude. But anyways,
Oh yeah, I don't blame you for hating
I
Coach
mean
Prime, but Coach
I
Prime,
remember I mean he let's just say this. Toledo, like, I don't know, got tattered roughing the quarterback. And all he had which wasn't, by the way. And all he did was point at his like shoulder or his bicep stuff, and the rest threw the flag. I'm like, what is this dramatic shit? So other than the Thunder and Herd, Bowling Green State is the other one. So there's really only like three teams that actually can't pretty much hate.
yep. And
Three.
now we're gonna finish up with College Game Day. I gotta say something, and this
Wow.
is
Wow.
you and I. How old were you when you started watching College Game Day?
Oh, who knows?
I discovered
I
College
don't
Game Day,
remember.
I think, in the mid or late 90s. The
I
show was
can't
very
remember.
interesting because it wasn't like when you watched an NFL studio on
No, it
Sunday,
wasn't. Oh no, it
where
wasn't.
I don't get me wrong. I think I liked the NFL pregame coverages, but I think once you reach a certain age, I would say the NFL studios literally lack enthusiasm for the game. When I
Agreed.
watch Saturday College Game Day from
Oh, it's like a party. It's
early
a
and
thing
mid
to look
teen years
forward
to
to.
parts of my adult years and then rediscovered it this weekend. The reason I think College Game Day especially stood out was because of Lee Corso, who at one point
Oh
coached at
yeah.
five reasonably good schools, but you could tell from his coaching career would transition over well to broadcasting.
Oh yeah. He transitioned very well.
He not only did he transition very well, but when they needed audiences, he had that, as Kirk Herbstreit stated on Saturday. You have that one personality. You're not on social media, but yet you don't do social media for whatever reasons because you're not in the age group that it's targeted toward, where you'd have to build a personal brand. But you were everything to College Game Day that everyone starting at Gen X or our age, when we were kids, we discovered this and we're like, wow, this man, not only does he have integrity and was he a good coach in a generation where you following a generation where you literally had two men who aided and abetted a pedophile at Penn State.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Paterno, and I respected
Yeah.
Paterno, but Paterno basically covering for Sandusky was really what screwed up
Yeah.
Paterno's career.
Yeah.
We were old enough to remember that scandal.
Yeah.
The Sandusky scandal personally, and I felt bad for Papa Joe because he was such a great, influence to Penn State. You should not have defended that Sandusky.
Yeah.
Doing that literally took your program down. But
Pretty much.
with Corso was that one guy you could just tune into on Saturday, no matter what he did, which was zany on television with or without social
Right.
media, that you could
Yeah.
just find yourself saying, you know what? This guy literally loves what he's doing.
Yes, you can tell. You can tell by his speech, the look in his eye, how much fun he's doing. I mean, the stuff that I've seen this man do on TV
You and
was
I
so
have led
entertaining.
very interesting lives, but I will say one thing, not just from
He's
this
entertaining.
Saturday. and not just from childhood that I could take away from Corso. I could have the shittiest fucking day as an adult. But when I tuned into College Game Day just for 3 hour block on a Saturday, whether I was living with my dad, staying at his place when I lived alone, or I was living with mom, 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock, ESPN as a kid, Lee Corso, Chris Fowler, Kirk Herbstreit.
Yeah.
I was in heaven. I could have the shittiest day in my late teens to my early 20s. But when I turned on College Game Day, all my problems went out the door for 3 hours while I watched one of the classiest men. Despite the fact that I learned that he was conservative leaning, he voted Republican. I could forgive him for all of that because watching him on College Game Day, it put a smile on my face.
Yeah. Yeah,
It put a
he's one of the
smile on my face.
personalities that he can put a smile on your face. And
College Game
that's what
Day, I
made
think,
him
has
that's what
two
made it
sufficient.
memorable.
Yes, very, very memorable. In fact, from Kirk Herbstreit to Chris Fowler to Reese Davis. Reese Davis summed it up best by saying, college football is our mission, but entertainment is what we do.
Mm-hmm.
What I want to admit to the audience is when I do this with Justin, when I host Opinionated Collective Panel Discussion or Pick Your Brains podcast, now Autism Experience podcast, my earliest mentor before my friend Dan Friedenberg was actually Lee Corso. And actually, watching him, especially in the final stages of my school years where it's considered developmental, his personality stuck with me. After I played sports, I carried, the values from his personality into my adult life. Even at the darkest times in my life, I could look at that man and say, this man enjoys what he's doing. This is someone I want to be like.
Yeah.
So
He's
what I
that
want to
type of
finish
man.
off by saying to you, Coach Lee Corso, hopefully your granddaughter or your son who are more tech proficient, discover this one day on YouTube. Thank you for everything that you gave to the game of college football. Thank you for showing me at a young age what enthusiasm, what it's like to decide what you want to do and then do it with passion, and how to show up no matter what you do in your life and try to make the best of a situation. Like I remember reading uh, in the early part of the 2010s when you had your stroke, Coach Corso, the fact that you still went to work even into the years now in your 80s where you're cognitively not the same, because it's obvious that your cognitive function was starting to decline a little bit with your health. I still appreciated you showing up, and you will forever be one of my earliest role models.
Thank you, Mr. Lee Corso, for all the laughs and memories and the entertainment that you've provided us over the years. God
And
bless
maybe,
you.
hopefully, I will get to be on a show like College Game Day, or what you and I are doing turns into something like that and our version of it. We can only dream, right?
That's all we can do, guys. We can dream the dream, but we still have
So
what to do.
that's our show for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this sports talk. We will see you next month, and hopefully, we'll be bringing back corporate cringe for you all very soon. All right, guys. Hope
Bye.
you enjoyed this. We'll see you soon. Have a good night.
Night. Bye.
Okay, stop recording.